ولا يكون ذلك إلا ببأس وسلطان. قال الله تعالى:
وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم. صدق الله العظيم.
Is ISIS really a threat for the Syrian regime? If ISIS is a threat for the regime, then why do they target the rebels who fight Assad instead of fighting Assad himself? How come ISIS could capture the regions and oil refineries, which are of vital importance to the regime, without skirmishing? Answers to these questions will make the view clearer in Syria. The Syrian Ministry of Oil and Mineral Reserves stated in April 2015 that the amount of oil produced by the regime went down to 106,000 barrels. However, the maximum number of barrels the regime's refinery produces is 85,000. There is a 21,000 barrel shortage. It is no wonder how the regime closes this shortage: via ISIS oil. ISIS produces 46,000 barrels of oil a day. Given these numbers, Russia's claim that 200,000 barrels of oil have been transferred to Turkey daily is proved groundless. The amount of oil the regime and ISIS together produce per day, including that in Rojava or Western Kurdistan, barely reaches 200,000. Amos Hochstein, Special Envoy and Coordinator for International Energy Affairs, made a statement regarding Russia's claim of oil transfer. "I don't believe that there is significant smuggling between ISIL-controlled areas and Turkey of oil in any significance in volume. The key figure in the oil agreement between ISIS and the Assad regime is the businessman George Haswani, who also owns a Russian passport. He is called a middleman. When we examine the financial links of Haswani, who owns the Hesco engineering company, the partnership between Assad and ISIS is seen." On the other hand, the US Treasury Department registered in a report about Haswani's bank account activities that ISIS and the regime buttress one another financially, that they occasionally act as partners, and that this partnership is realized through Haswani's Hesco company. On March 12, 2014, George Haswani was banned from entering 28 countries in Europe due to his connections to ISIS. His accounts in European banks have been frozen. The UK Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond made the following statement in March 2015, underscoring that ISIS and the regime are allies, not enemies. George Haswani is the middleman between ISIS and the regime, which indicates that the war between Assad and ISIS is just a sham. On the contrary, they support each other financially. ISIS was a strategy put forward by Assad against millions of his people who hit the streets calling for a democratic country in Syria. The one who helped spread this strategy in Western media was Robert Fisk. ISIS is a continuously repeated scenario from the invasion of Iraq to the Syrian revolution. It is a Trojan horse wherein dictators hide against the will of the people. The fundamental question that should be asked is, will the US or the West act together with the Assad regime, which is the permanent ally of ISIS, or with the parties which really demand democracy? First, the sources funding it should be depleted if ISIS is to be destroyed, and that source is a dictator who has mass murdered his own people for 5 years, Assad.
ولا يكون ذلك إلا ببأس وسلطان. قال الله تعالى:
وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم. صدق الله العظيم.